Not So Sleepy bidding to back up last year's win and help clear. Not So Sleepy's got the rail and will dub up in the Betfair Trophy.
Not So Sleepy and Epatante. These two go on as they race up towards the line. Not So Sleepy and Epatante.
They see him charging past and they go, what's that horse? He must be crazy. Shall we just go up here?
Yep.
Then we'll be out of the sun. He's coming down there.
Hughie, well, we can just see Johnny Burke and Not So Sleepy walking back on the horizon there, having done a nice canter up here. What did you make of that this morning?
True to form, he rattles up there as fast as he can, that's the impression he likes to give us, because actually I think he can go faster than that. There's a lot of action from him, but I suspect he's always just keeping a bit back for himself. He does plenty of work on his own, which is has a great advantage, because if he weren't with anything else, he'd probably destroy it. If he went around, when he goes around the grass, which is sort of a mile and a half, he will destroy whoever is with him. So we have to be careful that we don't do him in or do the other horses in who work with him.
I'll never forget schooling Not So Sleepy the first day. I think he was given a bit of trouble here in the gallops. He frightened a couple of people, but brought him over and we said the Hughie wanted to try schooling him just to see if it would settle him down a bit, and didn't settle him, but he definitely enjoyed it. So, and I think they were all stunned that we were able to ride him in such a manner that he was being respectful and he was jumping well, and that kind of opened up the door for him to go hurdling. And Not So Sleepy's probably been a kind of companion for me in probably my rise in England as such, because he's been there every year for me, and I've ridden him in some big races now too.
And they're off and racing. The only one who looked remotely happy to go on is Not So Sleepy. Not So Sleepy, wide awake here. So Not So Sleepy remaining very keen about business up and over that next flight. Not So Sleepy is still the leader, turning for home, but still a good run to the second last flight of hurdles. Not So Sleepy led at the last. Can he hold on here? Not So Sleepy from Oakley. Not So Sleepy. Fabulous ride from the front, was clear at halfway, held on to win it.
I think the introduction to hurdles and going to different race courses, doing something differently, has kept him going in his later age. You know, he is 10 now, and he won first time out at 2. So we must be doing something right anyhow.
When he's in the stable, he's like pony, but when he's up the gallop, he's actually tell you I'm a racehorse and I'm not old. Even if he's 10, he still behave like, you know, I'm a 2-year-old and I can go sprint, I can do whatever he want. He done very well in flat. He always do his best when he comes down to jumping. He's got big heart. He always do his best, and that's why he bring us smile and excitement, because we knew he's never going to give up. He'll do his best all the time.
The Not So Sleepy has bolted and seated the rider at flight number 1. Not So Sleepy tried to refuse, and at flight number 2 has taken out Silver Streak.
I don't think he's a horse to be trusted, not because he's just naughty. He just enjoys it. He's not. He has these foibles, and sometimes he thinks, oh, I've never seen a hurdle in my life before, and we'll have a damn good look at it, which is always a concern every time he runs. But I don't think he's got a lot better with age on the racecourse, really. He's an extraordinary personality, really, and you wonder really what's going on in his mind. You know, in his earlier days, he used to be pretty good nightmare going down to the start. Yeah, we're always worried about him jumping off and jumping the first hurdle. We did have an incident in August when he got loose, so he sort of fell over and bruised his bottom then, but it didn't stop him running very well in the Cesaro, which cut him 6 weeks later. So, yeah, one's given up worrying about him.
I do get on with the horse, and I just think from day one we just sort of clicked, and as runs have gone on he's got better and better, but he is just unpredictable. That he might not jump off someday, and next day he'll jump off and he'll run off for 2 furlongs. But when he's on a going day and things get tough, he's very, very good, and he's just a great horse to be associated with, and it's been a great story and a great journey, and just the way to be part of it.
He's a pleasure to ride him, and he's such a character, really. He likes to do his own thing. He felt like he's a bit bossy. He can do whatever he like, and it's a bit of fun, really.
Not So Sleepy tenaciously hanging on. Here's Desenio on the outside. They're getting close together. Prince Gagarin will challenge up the inside. Smuggler's Cove well held behind them. A great battle up front. Not So Sleepy and Desenio. To the line they go. Not So Sleepy and Desenio. Not So Sleepy just hung on.
We first knew we had something with an engine. As a 2-year-old, he went up the grass here, and it was a pretty nasty sort of September morning, couldn't see a lot, and this horse appeared about 10 lengths in front of everything else. So I just assumed there was a cock up on the work because I couldn't really see what was going on the bottom. But actually it proved not to be the case because he won well first time out. So, but he has, he's not always been consistent. He obviously prefers soft ground, but he can run on fast ground. Horses which race from 2 to 10 and try as hard as he does in his races, he must really be probably looking after himself some of the time.
Down towards the final flight, 3 in line. Epatante on the near side, So Royal on the far side. Not So Sleepy now back in third, but rallying once again. A half furlong to go. Not So Sleepy and Epatante. These two go on as they race up towards the line. Not So Sleepy and Epatante.
Here's the outcome of the photo finish in first place. A dead heat between number 2, Not So Sleepy, and number 6, Epatante.
Last year was a bit of a surprise, I suppose, really. Like, he was a big price, and with the runners that were in the race, thought if we could be placed, it'd be great. But I was just always waiting for him to fall, but he kept finding, and from the back of the last, he was not going down without a fight.
With Epatante there, we hope we might be in the first, might be placed. So, and when he got headed coming to the last, we thought, he's run really well, he's been third, great run, and then he suddenly decided, I think I'll knock over the last one and put my head down and run to the line, which he did.
Did you think you'd won? Did you think you'd dead heated? What was?
I didn't really. I knew I'd ran him close, and I knew it was a head up, head down job.
And I think on the live, I thought we got beat, and then obviously it was a dead heat, and we were very happy to settle for a win in a Grade 1, even though it was a dead heat.
It was my first ever one. I've never had a dead heat before, so it was my first ever one. So it was nice to do it in a big race. So it was great. He's not very big, but he does bull himself up a bit when he's in a battle. Like Newcastle that day, I think the Fighting Fifth, it was key that a horse came either side of him. If I was on the wing of either side, he probably would have backed out, but because he was in the middle, he wanted a fight, and that's what he's brilliant at. When things get tough, he's really, really tough, and he just loves it.
I think when two horses are ready, sort of throwing themselves with great vigour in a race, that we often say when we're watching a race, oh, if only if it was a dead heat. No, nothing deserved to lose, and in this case, it worked out perfectly.
It was a wonderful day last year. What are your chances, do you think, of doing that again?
Yeah, I'd say you'd be better off going asking Sleepy, because it depends what horse turns up in the day. He's in good form, he's in good fettle. If he goes there in the same form as he did last year, or same form as he was a month ago in Newmarket, I'm sure he'd give his running. It's just whether it's good enough again or not.
I think we're going in with the same expectations. Epatante we thought would be difficult to beat. Likewise this year, it's a horse race, isn't it? Sleepy might not turn up, Epatante might not turn up, and something else will win. But it's a Grade 1, and it's the biggest hurdle race of the national hunt racing this side of Christmas.
Like I say, when he's on a going day, he's as good as any of them, and he's shown that recently in Newmarket that his form is still there and his enthusiasm is still there. So he schooled well last week and he felt great this morning. So we know he likes the track. So yeah, he goes there with a fighting chance.
And is he as bonny and bright and bouncy as he seemed a year ago?
Yes, but he always is, and he can run some really bad races when he's behaving really, when he's full of beans. So I don't go there with optimism ever.
Every time he runs, you can accept something from him, because we call himself Not So Sleepy, but he's never sleepy at the races.
He's a fun horse to be dealing with, and he's won some big races, and he's a special horse. He's a likeable sort. He's a cheeky chap, but when he's out there in the race course, he's tough and little terrier-like horse.
He's going to do a few circles around here for the cameras. I want to get out before he does, so we get up and set up on the gallop. We all love him, yeah. And the nice, great thing, he's got a bit of a fan club, so he's the character horse. He draws people to the races, I'm sure. People will go and see Not So Sleepy because he's a character.